Quantity theory of money. Turn to page number 82, 5.4. Quantity theories of money. The quantity theories of money explain the relationship between the quantity of money and the value of money. It gives the relationship between the quantity of money and the value of money. This theory links the money supply directly to inflation. The quantity theory of money links the money supply and inflation directly. So monetarists say that this is one of the reasons for inflation in an economy. So money supply is one of the reasons for inflation in the economy. This was felt by the monetarist. So who is this man? He is Irving Fisher. Irving Fisher. So the quantity theory of money is a very, very old theory. It is as old as the 16th century. It can be dated back to the 16th century. So it was first propounded in 1588. I'm talking about the quantity theory of money. The quantity theory of money was first propounded in 1588 by an Italian economist, Darwin Sati. Italian economist Darwin Sati. But the credit of popularizing the quantity theory of money goes to Irving Fisher. Irving Fisher published a book, The Purchasing Power of Money, in the year 1911. Irving Fisher is an American economist. He published his book, The Purchasing Power of Money, in the year 1911. He gave it a quantitative form in terms of his famous equation of exchange. So he gave it as an equation. The quantity theory of money was given in the form of equation by Irving Fisher after the publication of the book, The Purchasing Power of Money, in the year 1911. But this theory, the quantity theory of money, is dated back to 16th century. It was propounded in the year 1588 by an Italian economist, Darwin Sati. Okay. So what is this quantity theory of money? Let us see the quantity theory of money. So here you have an equation, MV is equal to PT. MV is equal to PT. This is the quantity theory of money. MV is equal to PT, where M is the money supply in the economy. M is the money supply or the quantity of money in an economy. V is the velocity of money. V is the velocity of money or the velocity of money in circulation. What do you mean by velocity of money? The number of time money changes hands in an economy is called as velocity of money. For example, you have 1,000 rupees. Okay, you go to a Saravana stores, you give 1,000 rupees, buy something, and you go home. What does the man who got 1,000 rupees in the Saravana stores do? He will take that 1,000 rupees and he will go to the chicken shop, buy chicken for 1,000 rupees. Okay. What does the chicken shop man do with that money? He takes that 1,000 rupees. He goes to Bata Shoe Company. He buys shoes. What does the Bata Shoe Company do? That man, what does he do with that 1,000 rupees? He takes that 1,000 rupees and he goes to a school to pay his daughter's fees. So what happens? The same 1,000 rupee note, okay, it becomes an income to one person and it becomes an expenditure to another person. So this 1,000 rupees changes hands so many times, maybe 5 times or 6 times or 7 times or 10 times. Okay, this is only called as the velocity of money. Velocity of money, the number of times that rupees 1,000 is spent in the economy is called as velocity, or the V. Or to define the velocity of money, the number of times the given amount of money is changing hands in an economy at a particular point of time or in a year is called as the velocity or circulation of money. So did you understand this? M is called the money supply or the quantity of money. V is called as the velocity of money. So what is P? P is the price level. Okay, price level or the inflation also you can say. What is T? T is the volume of transaction. Volume of transaction. What do you mean by volume of transaction? The total amount of money or the total quantity of final goods and services sold in an economy is called as T. So this is the volume, the amount of transactions which happen by selling the goods and services. That is only called as T. So this is the Fisher's equation. MV is equal to PT. So Fisher's equation says that at any point of the time, MV will be equal to PT. MV will be equal to PT. So MV shows what is bought in a society, what is bought in an economy. MV is what is bought in an economy and PT is what is sold in the economy. So this talks about the price and the volume of transaction. This is the amount of money and the velocity of money. So this is what is bought in a society and this is what is sold in a society. So here national income is calculated by the expenditure method. So on the left hand side, this side is the expenditure side. This side is the expenditure side. And here, this side is the volume of output. So here, GDP is calculated through the output method, or the national income is calculated by the output method. Here, the national income is calculated by the expenditure method. So anyway, this is an identity where MV is equal to PT. National income calculated by expenditure method will be equal to the national income calculated by the output method. So this is the equation. MV is equal to PT. So what is sold in an economy must be bought by someone. Whatever is sold in an economy must be bought. So what is bought will always be equal to what is sold in an economy. So M is equal to money supply, V is equal to velocity of money, and P is equal to price level, and T is the volume of transaction. So the total quantity of money, MV, will be equal to the total value of all the goods and services bought and sold. So this equation will always be equal. The total quantity of money will be equal to the total value of goods and services bought and sold, which is equal to PT. So this side, the right hand side, the left hand side is the supply of money, and here you have the demand for money. So it can also be expressed as P is equal to MV by T. Here I am isolating P, that is I am bringing the P to the left hand side. So what happens to the equation? P is equal to, okay, P is equal to MV by T. So it says that P is dependent on three variables. The price level is dependent on three variables. Am I correct? The price is dependent on three variables. Which are the three variables? M, V, and T. So P is dependent on, or P is dependent on three variables, M, V, and T. Okay, but the economists, after studying many data, they have found out that V and T is most of the time it is very negligible. Okay, so it does not have any effect on the price. We are isolating the price here. We are isolating price from the Fisher's quantity of money theory. So P is equal to MV by T. Monetarists say that V and T are fixed. V and T are fixed. Just look at this equation. P is equal to MV by T. Monetarists say that this V and this T is fixed. That means there is no change in V and T. This is done by taking the data over a period of time. Over a period of time, they have found out that V and T are fixed. So, it is not that V and T which determines the price level. It is only M which determines the price level. It is not V or T which determine the price level, but it is the supply of money which determines the price level. So only a change in M can change the price level. So the money supply is the reason for the change in the price level or inflation in the society. This is only explained by Fisher's quantity theory of money. So price is always dependent on the money supply, or it is the money supply alone which changes the price level and not V and T. And Fisher extended his original equation of exchange. Fisher's theory is also called as equation of exchange to include bank deposits M1 and its velocity V1. So nowadays, in those days, we had only currencies, but nowadays we have deposits in the bank. We have money in form of deposits. Okay, the above equation, the above equation considers only currency money. Here in this equation, you have only currency money. But in the modern economy, we have the bank's demand deposits or credit money, and its velocity also play a vital part in the business. Therefore, Fisher's equation of exchange is included has included bank deposits M1 and its velocity V1. So in the latest form, in the modern economy, this was the original Fisher's equation where they used only currency. But nowadays we keep some money in as deposits in the bank. So now this equation, Fisher's equation, original equation has been extended to PT is equal to MV plus M1 V1, or you can also write as P is equal to MV plus MV1 by T, where the quantity of money in circulation is M, the quantity of money in circulation is M, the velocity of circulation of money is V, the volume of bank credit money, nowadays we have the banks, so bank credit money is M1, and the velocity of circulation of credit money is V1, and T is the volume of trade. So now this is the extended form of the Fisher's equation. Hope you understood this, girls. Let us go on to the next slide. Here you have the diagrammatic explanation for the quantity theory of money. You have two diagrams here. This is part 1 and part 2, or figure A and figure B. First look at figure A. Here figure A shows the direct relationship between quantity of money and the price level. This shows the direct relationship. Direct relationship means the slope will be upward sloping. You remember the supply curve? Price increases, quantity supplied increase. Price increases, quantity supplied increases further. If price falls, quantity of goods bought also falls. So there is a direct relationship. Do you remember the upward supply curve? But the demand curve will be downward sloping. What do you mean by that? Inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. I'm just making you understand this picture better, this diagram better. That's why I brought the supply curve and the demand curve. But here it has nothing to do with that curve. I just wanted to explain the upward sloping curve and the downward sloping curve. Here you have an upward sloping curve. That means there is a direct relationship. Upward sloping curve always shows that it is a direct relationship. Downward curve shows the inverse relationship. So here this figure shows the direct relationship between the quantity of money, because on the x-axis we take the quantity of money and on the y-axis we have the price level. Look at figure A alone. On the x-axis we measure the quantity of money, and on the y-axis we mark the price level and quantity of money. Now look at this. When the quantity of money is OM, the price level is OP. When the quantity of money is OM2, that is when the quantity of money is doubled from OM to OM2, when the quantity of money is doubled, the price level is also doubled. Can you see that? So if it is OM2, here it is OP2. When it is increased fourfolds, when it goes to OM4, when the quantity of money goes to OM4, the price level goes to OP4. When it is OM, it is OP. When it is OM2, it is OP2. When it is OM4, it is OP4. So when you join all those points, you get an upward sloping curve. So it shows the direct relationship between quantity of money and the price level. As the quantity of money increases, the price level increases. When the quantity of money decreases, the price level also decreases. So this is a direct relationship between the quantity of money and the price level. So this relationship is expressed by the 45-degree curve, which is called as OP is equal to function of M. So the price level is dependent on the quantity of money. This is the explanation for figure A. Now let us go on to figure B. Figure B, on the x-axis you have the quantity of money, and on the y-axis you have the value of money. The value of money. X-axis quantity of money and the vertical line shows the value of money. So here this figure shows the inverse relationship between the quantity of money and the value of money. So here it is an inverse relationship. That's why the curve is downward sloping. When the quantity of money is OM, when the quantity of money is just like this, when the quantity of money is OM, okay, the value of money is OI divided by P4. OI by P4. Okay, I'm sorry. When the quantity of money is OM, the value of money here, the value of money is OI by P. OI by P. Shall I repeat it again? When the quantity of money is OM, the value of money is OI by P4. So what happens here? When the quantity of money is OM, the value of money is OI divided by P. When the value of money becomes OM2, what happens? The value of money falls down. When the quantity of money increases, there is a decrease in the value of money from OI by P to OI by P2. Now, when the quantity of money is increased to OM4, there is still a further decrease the value of money from OI P2 to OI by P4. Can I repeat it again? See here. Figure B shows the inverse relationship between the quantity of money and the value of money. I'm sure you would have understood this. There is an inverse relationship. When the quantity of money is OM, the value of money is OI by P. The value of money is OI by P. This point. Okay. But with the doubling, now the quantity of money has doubled from OM to OM2. The value of money becomes 1/2 of what it was before. So it has become half. First it was OI by P. Now it is half to OI by P2. So when there is an increase in the quantity of money to OM2, there is a fall in the value of the money. Still, if it is 4 times, if the quantity of money is increased 4 times, the value of money drops 4 times. Okay, OI divided by P4. So here you have a downward curve. Okay, this curve shows that there is an inverse relationship between quantity of money and value of money. The relation is expressed by downward sloping curve. OI by P is a function of M. So what do you understand from this figure? The quantity of money is the same, but here the price level, when the price level increases, the value of money falls. Okay, I think you can understand that. Okay, when the price level increases, the value of money falls. This is what is shown in this picture. Here you have a physical balance. When the prices go up, the value of money falls down. When the prices goes up, the value of money falls down. When the prices come down, the value of money increases. Okay, so this is the Fisher's quantity theory of money, or the equation of exchange. So what did we see? First we saw the quantity theories of money, the relationship between quantity of money and value of money. So there are two approaches for that. To study the quantity theory of money, there are two approaches. The first one is Fisher's transaction approach, and the second one is Cambridge cash balance approach. Today we have seen the Fisher's transaction approach, or the Fisher's quantity theory of money, or the equation of exchange. It was given by Irving Fisher. Then we saw the quantity theory of money, or the equation of exchange formula. MV is equal to PT. This is very, very important as it is asked in 1 mark questions very often. So MV is equal to PT. M is the money supply, V is the velocity of money, P is the price level, and T is the volume of transaction. Then now, since we have bank credits nowadays, the Fisher's original equation MV is equal to PT has become PT is equal to MV plus M1 V1, or you can also write it like this. Then we saw two figures, one showing the direct relationship between the quantity of money and the price level, and the second one we saw the inverse relationship between the quantity of money and the value of money. So when the price increases, the value of money falls down. This is direct relationship and this is inverse relationship. So with this we will stop our class today, girls. I hope you understood the Fisher's equation of money. Okay, please study this immediately. It is a very important 5 marks question. Okay, now 1 minute. Let me turn on to the question part. So you have this question in under part D. Part D. 35. Illustrate Fisher's quantity theory of money. Illustrate Fisher's quantity theory of money. If that question is asked, first you have to give all these introduction, okay? And then you have to write the equation. Then you have to explain the diagram. So this is found on page number, the answer for this question. I'm talking about question number 35. Question number 35. Illustrate Fisher's quantity theory of money. The answer is found on page number 82. Quantity theory of money 5.4. First you have to give an introduction. Then you have to give a introduction about Irving Fisher. Then you write the Fisher's quantity theory of money, MV is equal to PT. All this you have to write. Then at the end, the diagram and the diagram explanation. All this carries 5 marks. Please do your homework. Fisher's equation, that will be your homework today. Please write that in your economics rough notebook, and question and answers can be written in your classwork. If you have already got your classworks from school, you can start writing from lesson 1. Lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3 you can finish, then you can go on to lesson 5. Okay, if not, you continue writing in the classwork that is available at your homes. Okay, with this we'll stop the class today. Thank you.